Neil, this is a kind of a rough recording. It was the fastest way I could think to do this to show you what I was talking about. And so I hope this works out. Let's assume, if we're looking from the end, that this is the wire racks that you're doing. And of course, if you're what you're doing is you're putting a wire rack on the end like this, then you're going 2 wire racks like this. I'm assuming, and you got another wire, you got that end wire rack sitting here to hold these 2 up. Well, what we're doing is we're looking at this end without that wire rack there, so we're just looking at the long end of the wire racks. So if you were to take these shelves, now these shelves are, if you turn them upside down, it'll come like this. So there's your lip, all right? And so what I'm saying is you take 2 of these shelves, and if we were to lay them together like this, and then you use a wire tie right here to tie these together, then what you're going to have, if you take this end here and hook it right here, so take this right up here, you're going to have this wire, a wire hoop there, and there's the first rack, and here's the second rack. Now the only problem is right here it's going to fold. Okay, so that'll just fold like that. So to keep this from folding right here, what I've done is I've taken a 2 feet piece of conduit right here, like that, and then I've wire tied it to this rack, like that. So it's not going to fold right here in the center. Okay, now you can hold this shelf out by taking a piece of conduit now, and this piece of conduit will act as a leg leaning right here like this, 1 on each end. So if we're looking at the flat end of this, here's our 4 feet then, okay. There's our 2 racks, and here's where this is hooked on, and this is coming down like here, all right. Then all I've got is I've got 1 pole here and I've got 1 pole here. That's all I'm doing. So that holds that 4 feet across. Okay, so that's this pole, and this pole is the same thing. Now if we were to look at this piece of conduit, it's coming around, and I would come in this end and I would just cut a little notch in it, so that this little notch is where this hooks into the wire rack right here. That wire rack will slide right down in there, and then it won't come out easily right here. Okay. Now, the next thing you can now do is you make a second one of these. Okay, so another one that's got 2 racks and hooked together here, and you can put an S hook on this. So this makes it easy for you to set up. So let's say I drew that wrong, but you put an S hook here and close that S hook up here so that it's completely closed, so it just comes out. Now so this stays on this bottom part, so when you go from show to show, it's easy to set up. Now you're going to take that S hook, and by the way, you could have done S hook up here also. So you take this S hook, and that S hook will hook around this, and that will hold your next set of racks, which don't have quite the angle to them, or it can have more of an angle. That's all dependent upon where you hook this in here, and you know, how far your leg up is. Now, in all actuality, I think it should be the opposite of what I just drew. So I think if you've got your thing here, this will be a sharper fall here for these 2 racks, and this will be a little further out for these 2. I've kind of exaggerated. But that way, when a person is standing here, the eye view, this is a little better for an eye view that way. Okay, now of course this is exaggerated here. Now that's basically how I make my display. Now if you have that deeper lip, then you're going to have 3 pictures laying up here on this lip. The first one is not covered, and the back 2 are your stock. So these 2 are stock, and this front one is your display. and you've taken the plastic off it. But of course you got the bags right there, so that if you sell these out, or these are getting a little fingerprinted, you want to rotate them, then you can just slide the top one in the bag. But that way the customer can grab the stock from behind here and just give you the money while you continue to sell. And that would speed you up considerably. That's what I'm suggesting on this. Now, where the problem comes in, coming back up here, where the problem comes in is if we look at these two racks flat, I'm sorry, I went too far. You've got one here that's holding this up and one here that's holding this up. This distance between these two is just barely 4 foot. And when you put your pictures on here, your pictures are going to fall like one's vertical here, and you've got two horizontal like this in order to fit them on, and they just barely are over 4 foot. So it's cramped in right here. All right, if that is making sense for you. Now let me open up a new picture here just so that we can make sure that we're together. Okay, I'm going to have to jump in here a little bit. Okay, so what I'm saying is when you are setting these up, you've got one on the end here. And then you're hooking a 2-foot rack here, like this. And you're hooking another one to it. All right, and I'm gonna, and then your other rack you see would be here. I'm not gonna put it there because that'll kind of mess up what I'm trying to draw. Okay, and so this distance between here and here is 4 foot. Okay, and so when you're laying these racks up here on here, it's possible, I don't know, I think you'd want to stay in this foot here. Mine actually only come out for the whole thing, well, I don't know, I don't have them sitting here, but if this is your shelf here and a shelf here, okay, then you've got a shelf here and a shelf here. All right, so now let's come down and look at this looking flat onto it. So looking flat on, then there's your 4 feet. I keep running out of room on my tablet here. It's too far away from me. There's your 4 foot. And so when you're laying your pictures onto this rack, we're looking straight on, your center one is vertical and your side two are horizontal. That gets you 3 on each shelf. And of course there's no room here, this is tight. And so that is barely, when you do that, that's a little over 4 foot, just barely over 4 foot. And when you got this other rack squeezed right in here, how are you going to have this horizontal? Because this one's actually just sticking out just a little bit. You see what I'm saying? That's sticking out just a little bit when this is all tight. That's where the problem comes in. Now, once you're up past, once you're past this foot out on this angle, then you can come over just a little bit. I'm not sure really the answer to this. I think I know what I would do. Let me just throw this idea out. Here's one possibility. Okay, we'll take oh, I'm sorry, that's not going to work because I used 3. Okay, if here's your end, and then you put your first rack in. Perhaps you could put a spacer right here. So if you've got a 2.5 foot piece of conduit right here, and then your next rack comes out here just a little bit, or this conduit could actually go clear along the entire length here, so it's 4.5 feet, for example. And then this hook's here, and you've wire tied this to the conduit, and then your other wire rack comes like this right here. That would give you the extra room in here. You've got 6 extra inches or 3 extra inches, whatever it is you have to have in order to have these pictures fall on your shelves just right. I can't think of another way. This really is not going to show up because it's covered up with the pictures. The pictures cover this whole thing up, and that piece of conduit across here is not going to really show up. That's the simplest way I can think of to fix this, because this T is going to hold everything up, and this conduit is going to hold it together. Maybe you can think of another way. I don't know. Anyway, that's what I was trying to explain over the phone, and I realized it was a little too complex to do. I'm working on the web catalog right now. Try to get you some pictures today or tomorrow. Tonight or tomorrow, hopefully. Okay, good luck. Give me a call. Bye-bye.